Welcome to CompSci360, the ultimate virtual summit for MS and computer science in the UK. This two-day summit will give you a 360-degree view around everything related to MS and computer science in the UK, with subject knowledge experts and student mentors from top universities. Before we hear from the expert, we want to walk you through the CompSci community on the Nebula platform, a dedicated space for you to connect with other attendees and build lasting relationships with fellow computer science enthusiasts. Throughout this summit, you will interact with a number of subject knowledge experts, and if you wish to get a personalized one-on-one mentorship session or get your queries addressed, you can book a slot with them by visiting their Nebula profile. We believe that this session will enhance your learning experience and help you achieve your study abroad goals. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy the summit.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CompSci360 Virtual Summit, the biggest study in UK summit for computer science aspirants. My name is Priyanka Cholera, and I am the Community Engagement Associate at Nebula. But you can call me your community buddy. Before we get into our session, I would like to give you a brief introduction about Nebula as well as CompSci360. Nebula is a community driven platform that helps study and work abroad aspirants connect with their mentors who have already pushed their boundaries and are studying in an unknown land. These mentors help our mentees to achieve their goals of studying and working abroad. Nebula has built a powerful community with technology and bringing people together. CompSci 360 is a summit organized by Nebula, which helps students to pursue masters in computer science in the UK. Right from applications to accommodation, in the 2 day summit, we have covered every aspect of studying masters in computer science. Today, one of our mentors will be sharing best strategies of finding affordable accommodation in the UK. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Vinayak once again for another Nebula talk on CompSci 360. Has graduated from Queen Mary University of London and he has done his master's in artificial intelligence. Vinayak, over to you to introduce yourself to our audience once again.
Okay. Hi, Priyanka. Thank you very much for inviting me once again for the session. And I would like to help students get their right information from the right platform. I'm a recent graduate from Queen Mary University of London. I've completed my master's in artificial intelligence, and I'm currently working as an intern at Tata Consultancy Services in the UK as a data science intern.
Thank you so much, Vinayak, and the pleasure is all ours to host you again. Yesterday's session was on job opportunities in the UK, reality and myths, and Vinayak, along with another panelist, Sarthak, really gave some amazing insights on the job market in the UK, right from graduation programs to post study visas. So if you missed yesterday's session, please rest assured you'll get the recordings. So let me dive into the questions I have for Vinayak today. And for the audience, I request you to post your questions in the chat box as you won't be able to unmute yourself or turn on your cameras during the session. So Vinayak, when it comes to accommodation in the UK, what are the most common challenges one can expect when they land for their masters?
Uh, Mainly, first, it depends on where your university is located. So, one, as you would like to come here and study, you would think about deciding of having your accommodation very close to the university. I would advise that one, you can. There are different kinds of accommodations that you can go for. So, one is a private accommodation taking up an ensuite or a house on your own, or a university accommodation which is provided on campus or off campus. So, depending on the private or the student accommodation provided by the university, you probably can check out the distance of how far it is from your university and then decide if you need to go for it. uh, One thing I would like to add to this is London is divided into different zones according to TfL for the tube services. So it would be great if you locate yourself in the same zone as your uni, because once you travel from one zone to the other, the tariff or the prices change for your travel. So it would be great if you find your accommodation in the same zone as your university is located.
So many students who land in UK
Hmm.
for their masters, no matter how many articles they read or researches that they do, nobody can give them on ground reality
Hmm.
check. even unless they have someone already living in that area or in the country, right?
Hmm.
So what are the resources that you used for yourself when you were a student? I mean, you're still there, so how are you managing your accommodation there?
Yes. So when I started off in the September, I was actually waiting on my visa, so I was a little late to get my accommodation sorted. But in the end, Queen Mary's own accommodation that was provided, I was on the wait list and I couldn't actually get my accommodation sorted by the uni itself. So otherwise, what I would like to say is start off early, get your admissions and visas and all the other documents sorted, so that you can check out uh, how I could basically I would like to put it, uni accommodation is the best place to stay. It might be a little expensive, but it's the best place to stay because you have your course mates and you can actually meet a lot of new people. You will be open to meeting new people. Otherwise, there are other student accommodation service providers like Unite Students or Amber Students, or there's also another website called My Student Halls where there's a huge exhaustive list of student accommodations that are provided all across London, the different types and different locations that are based in. What I would feel is staying in your own uni accommodation is the best way to do it. But if you're open to meeting people from other universities too, you can go for private halls and private accommodations from these websites that I mentioned. Uh, I'd like to repeat them: Unite Students, Amber Students, or My Student Halls. You can get a list of them. They especially provide services to bring in students into different private accommodations.
Right. So, like you said, you choose uni accommodation, I think.
Yes, in the end, there was a new building that was built, so I finally got into it. Where I did not get the accommodation that was exclusively for Queen Mary, but I got the one that was exclusively for students of University of London. So we had students from LSE and I think Queen Mary, LSE, and undergrads were also there. So yep, that was how it went for me.
Yeah, so you had the best of the both worlds, I feel.
Yep.
Okay, Vinayak, before, like you said, after you get your visas and everything, you have to apply for accommodation. So I'm assuming, like, obviously, you plan your accommodation before you land only.
Hmm.
But if you want to, get a private stay or you want to rent some place, what are the documents? Are you aware that you have to submit? Or how do you trust your landlord with the amount that you're going to pay? That
Hmm.
because the person is basically a stranger if they're not in university, right? So what does the process look like if you're aware of it?
Yes. So I'd also like to mention the websites that provide these. There's something called as flat shares or house shares over here, wherein a house is going to have 3 or 4 bedrooms, and you're going to share the 3 or 4 bedrooms. I mean, with other people. That is. So you can find these for house shares in like websites like Spare Rooms or Zoopla or Rightmove. These are the three mainly used that I used after my stay, after my academics in the UK. These are the websites I used to actually move in. Uh, so when it comes to trusting the accommodation, mainly I would like to say one big tip is to do not right away without seeing the place or confirming or having at least conversation twice or thrice with the not the landlord. Mainly here there are agents who work with it. So if it's a very legit agency, have a conversation 2 or 3 times and then go ahead with your deposit amount. And before that, please do not put in your deposit amount. Anywhere in the world there are scams. You might just end up paying money and you might not even get the accommodation. So that is one thing. And the other thing is there is a student status letter that would be released from the university that could help you with getting a bank account as well as getting an accommodation to actually show that you're a legit student who's working, I mean, who's studying in that university. So that would help. and that would mainly help your visa document or your BRP once you've collected. Or if you are in India and you're trying to get this sorted, you can ask for a letter from the university for the accommodation, and you can go ahead with booking your stay, your private accommodation, that is.
And to students, I am going to address this question to all the speakers on board today, whether it is part of their topic or not, because I feel everybody has tried to safeguard themselves from scams abroad, and students are the most vulnerable community.
Hmm.
I mean, because they are passionate, but they're still very clueless when it comes to navigating. And information just overloads us with information. It doesn't tell which is the right information. And until
Hmm.
we reach to the technology where people like Vinayak can create some, method to only filter out right information, it is important that you note down everything that he's saying,
Hmm.
because when you're spending pounds, you're not it's 2000 rupees in India and 2000 pounds in London are like two different things. So
Yeah.
please ensure every talk related to accommodation and everything that Vinayak is saying, you note it down very well, because you might have the best course, you might have the best university, but if you don't have a roof upon your head, there is no point of moving abroad and feeling that unsafe. So thank you so
Hmm.
much, Vinayak, for sharing such good insights and the websites. And
Hmm.
this was not even like straight right into the arena of the topic we are discussing, but you have shared really insightful suggestions that I know our audience will definitely benefit from.
Yeah. Thank you.
Coming back to affordability, can you tell us one estimate a range of price that students can expect to spend when they move to UK on accommodation? Because if they're spending from their pocket or they're spending at university, if they're not under any scholarship, it would be good to know how much they can expect to spend for a year, or by month.
With respect to accommodation, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. So, I would like to put it in this way. There are two different ways you can see this. If you are staying inside London, there is a different there's a different band to it. If you're staying outside, there's a different band. Because I studied inside London, I would like to say that I would give you like a ballpark figure of how it worked out. A simple double room in a flat would cost you around 700 to 7. Basically, when I came a year back, a year and a half back, it was 650 pounds to 750 or 800 pounds, depending on the location. But right now, prices have gone a little higher up. So I would like to say that inside London, 800 to 900 pounds for a flat share, a room in a flat share is the price that you can pay. And this amount that I'm telling you, the rent amount is not significantly cheaper, but it gets a little cheaper if you go outskirts. And again, in the beginning, as I said, it depends on the zones. So the the more away you go from central London, it gets cheaper. So roughly around 500 to 600 is what I could say if you go properly outskirts. And there are prices or renting amounts in between that you can go for.
Right. This brings a follow-up question to me that
Hmm.
Queen Mary University in London, can you
Hmm.
educate us if it is right in the center of the city, or or in the outskirts? And if you are, let's say, studying in the center of the city, can you afford to have a house a bit far away? And does the travel cost a lot? Like if you are calculating the in total, what how much expenditure is coming to you?
Yes, I understand. So Queen Mary is not, I don't want to say it's not located in central London, but it's like 20 minutes from central London. It's you can call it that as the entry level to the east part of London. It's like east. It's basically located in E1, so it's the east of London. It's the beginning of the east. So for me, I would like to say that for other universities that are, for example, University of Westminster and UCL or KCL, which are very much in the central London part, I'd like to say that traveling from probably from zone 6 or zone 5 to zone 1 might be a little expensive on an everyday basis. It would be better if, as I mentioned, it would be better if you're in the same zone, but it doesn't make that much of a difference price wise. So because are going to such a good university, and if you're there, you better attend it every day. So it won't be that expensive, but otherwise, okay, I would like to repeat myself and say that make sure that you're in the same zone. But again, the
Same, yeah.
prices also go up if you're in one of those zone one and zone two. So you need to have a very calculated. You have to make a calculated decision to go ahead with this actually.
Right. So when we are discussing affordable accommodation, and when it comes to student accommodation and also private stays, so when you're transitioning, let's say you are in the university or living in student accommodation, and after graduation you have to transition and live on your own, right?
Hmm.
So wouldn't the transition be easier if you're already living on your own right when the university has begun? So because I don't think everyone has a job right after graduation. Maybe there's a buffer period of 2 3 months where you're exploring, you're still figuring out. So how do you suggest that students navigate that period where you are looking for a job? It's a job to look for a job. So how do you suggest people manage accommodation, and how, and that time, because they're looking for new opportunity, they do not need to be in the center of the things. They can live away from
Hmm.
where all the fun and happening things are happening. So how
Right.
would you navigate that?
So when it comes to private accommodation here, you get it for 6 months or a year. So let's take scenario one where you're starting off in September, that is as soon as you come here, and you're starting off with a private accommodation for a year. It's a little bit of a tough situation because when you are completing your masters, your contract for the house is also ending. So you can take it both ways. If you already have got a job offer, it would be nice to move closer to a workplace because your contract is also ending. Or if you haven't yet got a job offer and you're finishing off with university, it would be great to move probably towards zone 3 or zone 2, wherein you're not that far away from central London in case you want to start off part time in the meanwhile you're looking for your main job. If you are doing that, you won't have that much of a travel time also because you're very close to different zones. So I would like to say that the otherwise, the second scenario is where you were in a university accommodation and you're getting done and you're starting to search. I would advise that it would be great if you're a little outskirts till you know where you're getting your job or getting settled. It would be great to be outskirts because everything is a little cheaper if you go away from central London.
Right, because I feel from students' perspective,
Hmm.
everything you're spending either with your parents' finances, or
Hmm.
if you're on a scholarship, also you have limited stipend. I mean, they are not showering money on you; they are sponsoring everything on you. But there would be a
Right.
cap to it. And even if
Hmm.
you're earning, and as if I think yesterday I was discussing part-time jobs with one of the mentors, and he said
Hmm.
you can maximum work 20 hours a week, at
Yep.
to £9 per hour average.
Hmm.
So there there is like a cap to what you can earn as a student. So it is important you keep a cap on what you spend. I think we're just discussing accommodation here, and there is living expenses, there is food, there is travel, everything is included, right?
Hmm.
So if you could compare like the prices, if you're aware of like of homestays, or if you're sharing the flat with someone, or if you're just staying in a hostel,
Hmm.
what would be the price difference that you can expect, like, and also how much do universities charge to students if they are living with them, like in the in-house system?
Okay, so university accommodations basically would be around 150 to 200 pounds. So there are different kinds of accommodations, right? So you have uh, something to do with an ensuite or a studio flat. So, and also there are some university accommodations, rooms in university accommodations where the size of the room matters. So it depends on which one. For example, if we consider you're taking the smallest one, the ensuite, it should come up to roughly 200 or 250 per week. So that should be around 850, 900. In that, probably that would come up to 900 pounds a week. I mean, a month, sorry. if you compare that to a private accommodation in a month, in a flat share, you can get done by 650 or 700 pounds if you're staying outskirts, or if you're staying inside London, like inside central London, it should be around 800 to 900, as I mentioned before. So it makes a little much of a difference, but you have your own advantage, because in the uni accommodation you have people from your courses, people from different courses and everything. It's more of a streamlined setup. But if you're in a flat share, it's that you just stay with random people. They might be working professionals too. They don't have to necessarily be students who are studying along with you from the same university. So both of them have their advantages and disadvantages, but uni accommodation is a little on the expensive side, 150 to 200 pounds on the expensive side.
Right. Does uni accommodation cover food expenses also for students?
Yes. So, my university accommodation did not provide food, and as far as I know, I think some of them do, but I think some of them that do are all outside London. The universities that are in the UK but outside London, they provide that. Uh, Probably universities that are in remote locations, really, you get it, like really out away from the city or away from the areas. But here, that wasn't the case here. So I had to also get a mini degree in cooking. So that served the purpose.
Oh yeah, once you burn the rice and once you make those non-boil chapatis,
Yep,
that's a degree in itself.
yep. It was. You can't keep eating Maggie forever, right?
I agree with you so much on this because I myself and with other people I've seen who have moved from other cities for jobs
Mm-hmm,
or other purposes, and you think you can survive on food that has been given to you,
mm-hmm.
but I think at some point a saturation point comes, like, no, I need to take things in my hand if I want to live
Yeah.
here more. So if we are counting living accommodation,
Mm-hmm,
food being a big part of our life, especially as Indians, it's just, I think everywhere else it's, I won't say bland, but yes, less spicier with less masalas. So
mm-hmm,
how do you, as an Indian student, what is the range of money that you would spend if you're cooking by yourself, or if you're arranging food for yourself, if you're not part of, if accommodation is not part of, it doesn't include food. So how will
mm-hmm.
you manage food for yourself, and what does it cost roughly?
Well, on an average, for example, your basic groceries, bread, eggs, and other things should come up to around 11 or 12 pounds per week. Uh, that is if you are not skipping your meals and you're having probably 2 or 3 meals properly. So it should be around 10 to 12 pounds a week. And when it comes to Indian food, there are a lot of Indian stores around. There are a lot of more than Indian stores. There are stores that are set up by Bangladeshis or Pakistanis, which have our own masalas and rice and everything needed for us.
Basmati.
Basmati rice. Basmati rice is in plenty, but yeah, we have everything. We have a lot of stores
Yeah.
around. So it would be nice if you make like a once in a 2 week trip to these Indian stores, pick up what you need, all the items that you can store, like the powders, masalas, and rice and dal, lentils, and all of those. So yeah, that could be managed once in 2 weeks, and you can have you won't miss home that much after that if you start cooking Indian food.
Yeah. And I feel even when we are discussing moving abroad,
Hmm.
accommodation is something students look at at the very end, where but that is something that will affect their day-to-day living. Where you go back home to after a stressful day, or
Hmm.
whom do you share space with, is
Hmm.
as equally important as which university you're going to.
Hmm.
So, I really encourage all the students to not just listen to it and keep it as a side note in their head, because as soon as you decide you want to study abroad, and if you have decided in university, you have to start looking for either, I think, flatmates or accommodation spaces. And
Hmm.
Vinayak, do you suggest to, even when you're looking for accommodation
Hmm.
abroad, and you
Hmm.
know that your requirements would be that you would want to cook, or you are a person who would like to travel London, so seeing what is around where you're living, Like you might
Hmm.
get the cheapest place possible, but around that, if there's nothing to entertain you, nothing to
Hmm.
keep you busy apart from your university studies, even that won't serve the purpose. So
Hmm.
in UK or around Queen Mary University, do you suggest some areas or some buildings or something that students who might consider moving to UK can look up when they are planning their accommodation?
Well, one thing that I would like to say is Queen Mary is not that away from central London. It's just like a 20-minute tube ride. So around Queen Mary, I will tell you, Queen Mary has like a canal side. So most of the times I would just, we guys, all of us classmates would just go sit there and spend time. That would actually make sense because in the first 2 months, you would be very excited to finish off your week and go to central London, see places like the London Eye, the Tower Bridge, and all the main touristy stuff. But after that, you wouldn't want to travel all the way to central London. You would just want to spend time around. There are plenty of places around to spend time. So I mean, I have never gotten bored till today. So I make it a point to just wear my headphones, start walking around, see places, see the old architecture, the buildings, and everything. So it won't get that boring around the university campus. And yeah, so there is always something to explore. That is how I would like to put it. And yes, I just got this at the back of my head. So, once you start your university, you can actually apply for something called as a student oyster card. In the student oyster, you can basically, if you ask me one question, where what if your uni is located in zone one and you are probably staying in zone three,
Hmm.
you can get a travel card, which is also like a pass, a monthly pass or a weekly pass. So that is cheaper if you apply for a student oyster, and you can apply for the same with your university account, the email account, or probably yes, I think it is with the email account. And otherwise, you can also apply for, I think, under 30 rail card. So both of them help you out with one third of the travel rates. So it just drops your traveling expense just drops that time. So yeah, one thing to keep in mind is apply for a student oyster if you're continuously traveling. If you want the monthly pass, or if you are traveling across the UK, go for a rail card. All the trains and buses are going to be cheaper.
Right. I mean, even though I am not moving to UK, but I feel like this information is so important for someday when I go, I can just navigate UK like a pro. So Vinayak, that you have shared about I think Oyster card you said
Yes. See, the
Oyster
normal
card
Oyster
and
card
yeah,
is what
yeah,
you use for tapping in buses and tubes.
right,
There are other categories. So there is something called as a student Oyster, which you need to apply for with your university ID. So the student
right.
Oyster is which drops down the prices on the monthly pass. They call it as a travel card only. Yeah.
Right. So Vinayak, we on Nebula, we do have a lot of communities like UK accommodation, and
Hmm.
we encourage students like if they are looking for a flatmate in a particular city, then they should reach out to each other. So,
Hmm.
in your opinion, if you know and if you are going to UK Queen Mary and you know someone else is also, would you suggest that those two or three students who do plan to go in the same university, same intake, should pre-plan their accommodation, get a flat together, and share expenses? Would that make more sense than just landing up there and seeing how it happens?
Well, that's a very good question. So, a couple of my friends actually did this. I never got a chance because, as I told you, I was late to the getting the visa and everything sorted. So, that's the best way to do it. If you know friends, if you know three or four friends who are going for the same course, it can be for the same course or the same university. It would be really nice if you can, get a 3 or 4 bedroom house, split the cost, and get it for yourself, so you guys can just spend a year together. And one thing that you need to look out for here is commitment, that even if one of the person leaves, you're going to end up paying the rent. So it would be nice if 3 or 4 friends meet up,
Yeah.
plan together, I mean, decide that you guys are going to stay together for a year, get a 3 to 4 bedroom house, and get it on rent, and all each of you can stay in a different room, and that is another way of actually getting accommodation sorted in the UK. And one more point to be added to this is, I there is something called as a council tax, which the university is going to provide a letter, so students don't have to pay council tax, but you'll have to check with the university once again. So when I came to the UK, I was told that council tax would be taken off with a letter that I could submit. So you can ask your university if you're getting a private accommodation, and if you have to pay your council tax, that would not be applicable to you as you are a student.
I mean, that was one of the questions that, I was coming to eventually about taxes.
Hmm.
Now, taxes are just anywhere in the world very complicated. No
Hmm.
matter whether, I mean, unless you really enjoy taxes, it's just a stress for everyone as a student.
Hmm.
Anyways, you are full of questions. So, apart from the tax, waiver that you just mentioned, are you aware of any other tax implications that you get as a student in UK? Because even that would be and especially mean living taxes like accommodation taxes. So are you aware of extra any other taxes that you mentioned that that can be waived off or compensated, or they should calculate when they're renting a house? So you might rent a house for 800 pounds, but then there might be this hidden clause where they say,
Hmm.
okay, but exclusive of taxes, or with taxes it would be more. So can you just explain something about it?
Yep. So when uh, for example, you're getting into a uni accommodation, you don't, for example, as I told you, if it costs you around 250 to 300 per week, that's around 900 per month. Your There are three things that you need to look out for: heating, electricity, and water. All these three things are going to be paid by the uni accommodation. When you come to the private accommodation, that is a flat share, there are certain flat shares which include these three things: heating, electricity, and water. But there is also one more. You asked me about tax, so there's only one tax, that is council tax. So council tax can be waived off by the university. Certain universities do that. You need to actually find out from the university. Other than this, while getting a private accommodation, there are two ways to see it. Yeah, for example, if your rent is 700 or 750 pounds per month, you need to check if it says bills included. That means it includes your electricity, the council tax, the water, and the gas. That is the heating. So if it is not included, you will have to take care of it by yourself. So it would always be better to get a flat share or get a private accommodation where it says that it's, for example, 750 pounds per month, including bills and taxes. So you don't have to, get into the smaller bits of, paying your electricity or water or gas in a way.
Right, and like we discussed earlier, students are the most vulnerable community.
Hmm.
Like I think what Vinayak is also trying to imply, don't rush it. There is enough space for in London for everyone,
Oh, yes.
and university is always a fallback option. I think universities will make some accommodation for you, maybe even temporary basis. You can manage something temporary, but do not compromise on where you're going to live for next 1 year, because house
Hmm.
hunting is such a process. No matter in Doesn't matter in London, also anywhere in the world. If you're moving
Yep.
to a new place, even in Bangalore, house hunting is anywhere very difficult. So if you are
Hmm.
going to an unknown land, and if you don't know anyone there, please look out for mentors or people who have been there and done that, and you don't need to do all of it again, because somebody else has already done it for you. Like Vinayak said, the electricity, the heating, because London is a very cold place. It gets very cold there in winter, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you can't do without those heating pads. You can't do without the heat in your room. So please ensure all of these small, small things are taken care of. So when you land, you just have to move in with your bags and not worry about these extra things.
One top tip is, I feel that it would be a smoother transition for you if you already have your accommodations like fixed. No matter you're getting it on the day you land or a week from the time you land, But if you get done with that task of fixing your accommodation, it's much easier. Otherwise, I also know a couple of examples where my friends actually came here, stayed in a hotel for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then got their accommodation sorted and then moved in. That's not difficult, but I feel, it's my personal opinion, that I feel once your accommodation is fixed, you are ready to go to uni. So it would be better to get your accommodation sorted and then, land in the UK.
Right, and just I agree to whatever Vinayak has said so far, and I just feel I wish more and more students could have access to this information because it is so worrisome for the parents also who are sending their children abroad. I mean, not only students, I think parents should also attend this session because it is something that the entire family is worried about, especially if you're a girl or if you're younger in age, if you're just going for your bachelor's directly. I think it applies everyone across the board, even if you're not planning to masters in computer science or you're just planning to move to UK. I think this session is really important for all of you to understand that what things you should keep in mind when you move to London as as a new city. So, Vinayak, if you have some tips to share about how to negotiate with your landlord when it comes to deciding your accommodation price or deciding for final rent, because them being from a different nationality and they know that Indian students are coming and
Hmm.
they are willing to spend like I think Indian students have that reputation abroad that they're paying such hefty fees. They are willing to spend. How they can not make it a very dominant argument with their landlord, like they still can have their take.
Well, I have never been successful in negotiating because, when the prices are set, when the rent prices are actually set, they're pretty rigid in, not dropping prices. It doesn't matter if you're a student or not. It would be great if your research of the accommodation or is in your band, under your band. So it would be better that way because. Um, I'd like to put it this way. There's no point in negotiating because there are 10 other people who would easily take the accommodation. So there is no scope
Right.
for conversation. The only scope for conversation is how quickly you can get the accommodation before you land here or get it sorted by the time you land here.
Okay, that was very insightful. I don't know. I just feel like keeping. I think I just want you to. If I ever come to UK, I would just get on a call with him. Like, when these are the places I finalized. What do I do now? And I
Hmm.
feel like students here at Nebula. I mean, you guys are very lucky you have that option because Vinayak is on Nebula, and I've linked his profile in the chat box. So please go and send him request and don't spam your questions. Be very respectful about it. But you can connect with him, and I'm sure, being the person that he is, he would be very happy to help you through his personal guidance sessions or otherwise. So please do send him your questions and please do the research and all the websites that Vinayak has mentioned. So this talk will be being recorded and will be posted on Nebula after a couple of days once it's well edited and everything. So visit this talk once again so that you know all the websites that he has listed and every information, because even though you are aware of it, it should click you at the right time. And if you know everything but while you're looking for it, if you forget what's important, then there is no point of you investing so much time in understanding something. So, Vinayak, we do have a couple of questions in the chat, and
Hmm.
somebody is still typing. So,
Hmm.
I think Shreya has asked this, even though you have already covered it. Is it better to share a place with students of your own university or share a
Hmm.
place with students from other universities? I think you did share something about it, but if you can list some pros and cons, that would clear it out further.
The way I'd like to see it is if you are sharing your accommodation with people from the same course, even if it's a different university, it doesn't matter. But if it's from the same course, my personal opinion, the in the house, the mood of the house or the scene in the house, it's going to be more academic. You can just pop into the other person's room and ask how's it going, or you'll have common subjects to actually discuss upon. So
Right.
mainly, I would like to say the course, and it doesn't matter if people are from different university or from a different nationality, or it doesn't matter at all. If you have people from the same course, it's a win-win situation. You can talk about assignments, you can talk about some hurdle you're facing, you can get your doubts cleared. So that's an advantage that way.
Right. And I feel one of the pros and cons that comes to my mind when you're sharing it with people from other university, you are open to, much larger like group of like information. And a lot of time we feel FOMO that we don't know what is happening in their universities, or maybe their university is better. So I think one of the
Hmm.
pro can also be that you're aware of what's going on in your surrounding, because when you're in university you become in such a cocoon that you forget the
Hmm.
world outside exists. Because what I have heard, masters abroad are very intensive, unless
Yep.
what we have seen in India, I think dissertations and everything are very extensive for every student. So if you network with students from other universities, it will definitely be helpful. It
Yes.
won't go to waste, I feel.
Yes, as you said, having a different resource is always much better from a different place. You will get
Yeah.
information that if you're in the same circle around the same group of people, you won't have access to information. Your networking might be not be that great. So it's always better to know people from different universities and find out what is going on there, because at the end of your course, it's about getting that job that you always dreamt of. So
Oh my god, yeah.
that is where you need to target.
And that's such a powerful line. And just adding to that, that more than your university of other universities, I think even though it's difficult, but do try to diversify your circle. Try
Hmm.
to meet people that you otherwise wouldn't have met if you didn't come to the university, because you just have 1 year there and you're filled with assignments and dissertations and all these coursework, as I've been told they call it there.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you can make some time and meet new people, I think that would broaden your horizon more than any book or any networking session can. Thank you so much, Vinayak. Again, you always have so much more to offer than what we had originally asked you. The session was around how to afford, plan better your accommodation in UK when it comes to affordability. But upon that also, you have told us what clauses to be careful of, where to look for better houses, and several other things, websites and everything. So I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being so frank and vulnerable with our students. And I am sure that you are helping or saving at least one or two lives today who would have maybe suffered without this advice. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. Thank you for giving me the platform, the opportunity to, make at least express myself, give out tips in such a way that I wouldn't, or the new candidates, new students wouldn't commit the mistakes that I actually went wrong in. It's always better to have information, and half information is half knowledge does not help in any way, especially when you're leaving a country. So I'm
Yeah,
very much
and
here. I'm very happy. I'm very glad to help.
we are glad as well. I think the feelings are very mutual. And again, thank you very much. And I really hope we see you again on Nebula. So everyone, please connect with Vinayak. And it's so early there. It's so early in the morning. Yet he has really went out of his way to not. You're definitely not looking sleepy at all. But I think you look more enthusiastic than me, even though our time difference is so.
Thank you very much, Priyanka.
Thank you, Vinayak, and I'll see you soon on Nebula and everyone attending this. So the entire track that there are three tracks going on. So accommodation is an entire track in itself. So please attend the upcoming session. The upcoming sessions will be on how to choose between campus stays or private rentals, and how to deal with your landlords better. So please stay tuned. We will be joining you for next session. And again, thanks again, Vinayak, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you very much.